Okay, so in this video, we're going to be exploring the properties of parallelograms. Alright, so a parallelogram by definition is that the opposite sides are parallel. That's the definition of a parallelogram. So all of these are parallelograms, so you can go ahead and mark all of these with parallel sides because I'm telling you that they're all parallelograms. So go ahead and mark these as parallel. Now this would be a quick video, so you might want to pause the video while you copy down these properties here. There are 4 properties, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you need to have those copied down, and we'll explore each property with the diagrams over here. Property 1, opposite sides are congruent. So if this is a parallelogram, then these 2 sides would be the same, and these 2 sides would be the same. Property 1. Property 2 states that opposite angles are congruent. So this side angle will be congruent with this side angle with this angle. Opposite angles are congruent. If I say that consecutive interiors are supplementary, that means these 2 angles have to be the same, and this one has to be 180 minus x. Because 180 minus x plus x gives you 180. 180 minus x plus x gives you 180. So these 2 add up to 180. These 2 add up to 180 degrees. All right, consecutive interiors are supplementary. The last property is that the diagonals will bisect each other. That means they are cut in half. So let's say, for example, this side was 5, then this would be 5. Same thing would happen on the opposite side. Let's say that this one is 7, then this one would have to be 7. Alright? So those are your 4 properties and the definition. You need to be able to apply those to questions such as this. If I give you a parallelogram, you should be able to complete each of these statements. CA will have to be parallel to SV. CS will have to be parallel to AV. AX will have to be congruent to XS. Because diagonals bisect. Because opposite sides are congruent. Because opposite sides are parallel. CVS is this little angle right here. I'm sorry. Read that again. It says angle CSV, so we're talking about this whole angle. That would have to be equal to this whole angle, which is angle CAV. And now we're talking about angle SVC, so we're talking about this little angle here. Now remember, these are parallel lines, and this CV would be a transversal. So that means that this angle, which is angle VCA, is an alternate interior angle, and when the lines are parallel, alternate interiors are congruent. So you should be able to fill out this side and plug them in. Let's say angle ACS is supplementary. ACS is this large angle, has to be supplementary with this large angle, and it has to be supplementary with this large angle. So we'll say CSV and angle CAV. So again, these 2 add to 180, and these 2 add to 180. So here's a problem where I'm asking you to find values. And the first thing you should do is just try to focus on the diagram. Don't worry about the questions too much, just look and see what you know. Well, I know that BC is 8, so AD has to be 8. CD is 6, so AB has to be 6. That's property 1, that opposite sides are congruent. Property 2 says opposite angles are congruent. So this angle has to equal this angle. And if these are parallel, well then this has to be 65. Well then this has to be 45. So now, all together, we get 110. That's property 2. Property 3 says that consecutive interiors have to equal 180. So that means this big angle has to be 70, and this big angle has to be 70. Okay? That's property 3. Property 4 says that these two diagonals have to bisect, so 7 and 7, 5 and 5. From there, you should be able to answer each of these questions. AD is 8. EC, well, EC is the same as AE, so it's 7. ADC has to be the same as ABC, so it has to be 110. BCD we found is supplementary, which means it has to be 70. AB we found to be 6 because it's opposite. And BD, well, if each of them are 5, the whole thing has to be 10. Okay, so those are the types of problems that I'm going to expect you to be able to do, along with this next page, where we're looking at a picture with just a little bit of information. Now I'm thinking, which property can I use? These are consecutive interiors. And what do I know about consecutive interiors? Is that they are supplementary. That means x plus 112 has to equal 180. That means x has to equal 68. Give 8 a try. Try number 9. Well, I'm looking, here's an x and here's an x. In this case, these two angles are opposite, and opposite angles are congruent. So I could say 4x plus 40 equals 145 minus 3x. So when I solve that, I get x equals 15. Well, I still have this y value here, don't I? If I plug x back into here, I get 4 times 15 plus 40, or 100 degrees. Which means this one has to be 80, because they have to add up to 180. Because consecutive interiors are supplementary. So 6y plus 8 has to equal 80. 6y has to equal 72, so y has to equal 12, and now I have solved for both x and y. Alright? I'll leave these to be for you to work on. Number 11 and number 12 are kind of challenging. This will actually take you back to think about the last unit on right triangles. It's a right triangle, so you're going to think Pythagorean theorem, and you're going to think trigonometry to solve this. Okay, not so much properties of parallelograms. So for this, you would want to draw a parallelogram. make sure you label it well. That's about all you need to do. So M and T have to be congruent. 7x plus 11 has to equal 10x minus 1. You need to be able to set that up and solve. Same thing with number 15. We're looking here if it's a parallelogram. Well, whenever I see these little angles, I think alternate interiors. 35, 35. Well, these are vertical, so that's 70 and 70. This has to be 110 and 110. Well, now I'm looking at this triangle here, right? How much does that have to be? Well, that gives me 75. If I look at this triangle here, that's 135, which means this has to be 45, which gives me 45 here, 75 here, and 25 here. So you can find out more information, but again, that's a lot of properties of triangles. We're not going to focus too much on the bottom here. If you can get through this part, you'll be in good shape. We'll discuss the rest of it in the next video a little bit, but also in class, the next time we have class, we'll go through a lot more practice problems. So just kind of try these, try to get as much out of this as you can, and come to class with questions, come to class with at least a basic understanding of what the 4 properties are. I should be able to ask you what are the 4 properties. You need to be able to tell me what each of them are and give me some basic, if I give you some basic pictures, you need to be able to identify those, and we'll work through some more challenging problems as we go through the day. All right, have a great day, and I'll see you next video or next class.